but Arlington has never gotten the publicity it really deserves because a large percentage of the fighting took place in this town. And specifically between here and the Jason Russell House in Arlington Center. And this battle here, and it really was a battle. I mean, there was 1,800 troops on each side blazing away at each other, and started what became known as Bloody Mile, which is from here to the center. The story needs to be told. The British retreating from Lexington Center, not to go into the whole history, but at first Colonel Smith and his detachment ended up in Lexington, and that's when the whole fight really started, and then proceeded to Concord at the Battle of the Bridge, when perhaps the fighting elevated, and then it just continued ever since. Colonel Smith's men barely made it back to Lexington Center, to the common there, where they were met by a large detachment of British troops that had been sent out basically to rescue Colonel Smith's men, because they were being shot at from all over as more and more militia companies from surrounding towns came to it. The general stabilized the situation, got Colonel Smith's men protected, and then proceeded through East Lexington into Arlington. Now, when they got to this border, this whole area, they were, not all of a sudden, but they were confronted with 35 militia companies coming all the way from Dedham, Danvers, all through this whole area with over 1,700 men. So this wasn't a skirmish anymore. This was a battle. The British had about 1,800 men, and this would have been a really major, well, it was a major battle, but it would have even been more so, except the one thing the British brought were 2 cannons, 2 field pieces. And when the British saw what was in front of them, that was between them and the safety of Boston, they unleashed the 2 field pieces they had and started blazing away at the militia who were hiding behind houses and walls and stuff. Now, these were militia. These weren't trained soldiers. And they started scattering. And the British were able to proceed down Mass Ave to try to get home. And all the way down Mass Ave, there was battle after battle. The British had been at this war thing for a long time. And so it wasn't just the militia fighting from the walls and the soldiers of the king, you know, down the middle of Mass Ave. They sent out flanking parties on both sides. And the biggest event perhaps happened at the Jason Russell House, where the Danvers militia had come to line up on the wall on each side of the road to fight the British. Well, they got outflanked by a flanking party coming in behind them, and they had to run for the Jason Russell House for their lives. And I think it was 7 or 8 militia died at the Jason Russell House in one of these flanking parties. But it all started here, and nobody knows about it. I mean, if you look at the rock, you can barely even identify it walking by.
That's another question I wanted to ask you. Lexington and Concord get all the credit. More lives were lost where we're standing right here between here and the Jason Russell House than in Lexington and Concord, correct?
Yep.
How aggravating is it for you, who's you have a passion for history, quite obviously, to know that when people are just driving by, they're going, you know.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's the sad part. And the Historical Society of Arlington has done a great job with the Jason Russell House. That gets a lot of credit. That's in the history books. But this area, of course, there's no house. There's nothing to memorialize the area except this one little piece of sliver of land that has been pretty much ignored from a history point of view. So the whole purpose of this is to build up this piece of land, to educate, to get people to stop and educate people about what happened here.